All right. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm here with Tim Thomas. And honestly, we're going to talk a little bit about that UCF debacle on Wednesday night. We're going to look ahead to Temple. And Tim, this team has a problem with slow starts. It's absolutely crazy. But being down 21 to nothing, I don't know if I've ever seen that in basketball.
Yeah, it's very embarrassing, very disappointing. I'm not sure if it's coaching issues that just can't get them going. I think they'll work on that, the next day or so before they play Temple. Or they don't have captains. They don't have leadership like, Elko in baseball. And it just seems like it's not there. They get out there the first few minutes and they're not ready. They're not, they did good against Valpo because they had some really good practices. And I thought Kermit would make more changes, but it was very disappointing. 21 to nothing. I've never seen such a thing.
Yeah. It, I'm sitting here. I said earlier in the earlier segment, it reminded me like of the mid 80s going up to Rupp Arena and you look up and it's 30 to 16 or 30 to 15 and you're like, how did this happen? How did this get out of control so instantly? And to have that happen on your home floor, man, that is a really, really bad look.
Yeah, as we talked about, home field advantage, football, basketball, baseball, any sports that has fans, it's usually a 10-point difference when you're at home to get started. Like they went up to Memphis and you say, okay, new environment, freshman guys, and they had old guys, and we saw how good you talked about it. We see how good Memphis is, and evidently UCF may be pretty good too. I mean, I have to admit it; they really played well. They're in the same conference with Memphis and Temple coming up Saturday, so they're pretty decent. They had a couple guys that really played well. Very impressive. The Kelly guy kept knocking down them threes. He got a lot of offensive rebounds and then throw it out and get another three when we were right down to 4 points, and then just couldn't quite pull it off. I was encouraged that he put a lot of new guys in. I was encouraged with Ewing and came in and blocked 5 shots, which was really neat, and several rebounds. I had 10 points, and then Mabala. We'd all been waiting on him, and he came in and made a big difference. 18 points, I think 7 rebounds, and he really is a physical specimen inside. So hopefully he's got his physical attributes back going. He had a knee issue over the summer, so hopefully he's better. So hopefully, and with a practice or two from Kermit, um, I think he's going to try some new people. The way I saw his post game press conference, I believe he's going to try some different people, kind of shake things up and see what happens.
Yeah, because honestly, we had some, for lack of a better term, no shows for the game. Some players that are normally really key players that, for whatever reason, just couldn't perform.
It's hard to explain. Everyone, players have to get themselves up for the game. They have to check the scouting report, watch the films that they show, and go through the scenarios during practice to see what the other team runs. Everybody does that. It's just a one-on-one, man to man. We all have to take care of our own self. You have to get yourself up. But I was discouraged badly. You talk about Miles Burns. He did okay. I think he had 3 points. He didn't play, like he normally did to make it a difference on the defensive. Robert Allen, 0. Normally, he seemed like he's a possible captain, but he didn't show up. Ruffin, 2 points. Last minute of the game, I believe he got 2 points. He had 6 assists, which was great. But a couple other guys, just Brakefield, no show. I hate to keep harping on him, but it's just, inconsistencies of some of these players. And Kermit, they asked him in the interview, he's just trying players. Why did you go with Ewing, or why did you go with this guy, that guy? He's just throwing people out there, and hopefully one will stick. You call it someone really step up. And he had a couple do that. Mbala and Ewing did that, along with Morrell. He did his normal thing, which he got it. We asked for 20, he got 21. So I was very glad to see that from him. But some of these other guys that we mentioned, it didn't happen. They just didn't show.
Yeah, I don't understand how you could start off a game and go 9 minutes without a point. I don't know if I've ever seen that in college basketball, and it's just I don't know if it's a reliance on the 3-point shot. I don't know if they're just not going hard to the basket because maybe UCF is doing that Virginia thing where everybody sinks into the paint and just guards the rim with everything they have. Maybe they just weren't making but it was just bizarre.
Yeah, there's a couple of weaknesses you see real quick. I hate to, harp on Ruffin, but he's short, right? He's short. He's 5'9", he's for some there. And if you saw it during the press, he really has trouble with these tall, rangy guys getting the ball over him. He's going to have to use the bounce pass. A couple of times on the press, they tip the ball and they got the ball put in. Some of those things just kind of add up. It's something, as a defensive guy, it's something we'll have to watch. He's going to really have to hustle and try to keep his guy from getting the ball. If his guy gets the ball, it's over. They can shoot a three, they can take to the hole. He's just so small. But he can make a difference on offensive end. He did last night, but hopefully he will. I remember the day when I was guarding Sam Bowie or Kevin McHale. If I could keep him from getting it, hey, we're good. Great. Someone else shoot. But if they got it, it's over, man. It's over. They can, they were big, tall, and they could shoot. And that's the same thing with Ruffin. He's a short, and he'll have to overcome that. And this team, the other team, will use that against us every time they play us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at MRA, they've got a commitment from Josh Hubbard, who is a little bit bigger, but not much bigger than Deshaun Ruffin. So he's another spark plug type player, super athlete. Before we move on to start talking Temple, you mentioned about Kevin McHale. What was it like guarding Kevin McHale? I mean, what was going through your mind when you were actually doing that?
The only chance, as I said, was to keep him from getting it. He was around 6'11", had long arms. I know they used to say he could tie a shoe standing straight up. I don't know if that's true or not. I never asked him, but he had a big chest. If you not notice, he had a big chest, and the way he kind of walked around is kind of gangly. But man, if he got the ball, it was tough. He could take it to the hole. He could shoot the 10, 15 footer. Just an excellent athlete. But that was my only chance, and was to keep from getting. I knew how to face guard him and knew how to get around and keep from getting and try to poke it away or try to make a steal. But he was a dynamic player. Sam Bowie, he was 7'2". I guarded probably 10 or 15 players that was 7 foot or more. It seemed like we had more 7-footers back then. I'm not sure about the water or what it was, but Sam Bowie, same thing. Keep it from getting it, great. But if he gets it, there's no way to stop him. If he's inside close, just no way to stop him. But this team here also, I want to mention 3-point shooting as you did. Not good. I'm not sure Morel can really shoot it. I believe Abram may have hit one. I think Mbala stepped out and hit one. But everybody else, it's just not happening. And the offensive side, as we talked about several weeks ago, is an issue. Our offensive, Kermit went out and got these 4 portal guys, defensive juggernauts, defense. But as we have seen, Mbala came through a little bit last night, but several of the other ones just not. Miles Burns, boy, he's a hustler. I love him to death too. But a shooter, he was like 1 for 9, 1 for 5. 0 for 5 on the 3-point. It's not going to get it in the SEC. We got Temple coming up, as you mentioned, then UNA, and then University of Tennessee Volunteers. So wake-up call. It's at home, which you'd like to think we would be ready. And then we got Alabama, who is really good right now. So things will have to change drastically, defensive-wise and offensive-wise, for us to have a chance, really.
Yeah, it's an interesting and teams that are super physical teams like Memphis, UCF was super physical, and I mean, they did. It seems like our guys just kind of almost backed down because I don't know if there's an alpha on this team. They got a bunch of role players and a bunch of guys that can do a bunch of different things, but there's not an alpha on this team. Just give me the ball. And I will go make it happen. And Ruffin's supposed to be that guy. I mean, that's the one we assumed would be that guy. But to this point, it is not materialized.
Yeah, your point guard, kind of like a quarterback, Dart, you think that they're the one. He started him last night, and I think that was the intention to really put this team together with these 5 guys he feels are the best. But they pressed, and we kind of got behind the 8 ball. We couldn't get it going, couldn't ever get it going. The offensive wasn't able to work. So Ruffin, for whatever reason, he didn't show either. He's a sophomore, probably 19 years old, but that's what Kermit expects him to do. The Josh Hubbard guy that's coming next year. He's a small guy, but they're really quick and get to the hole quick. But we got behind so quick. We got behind because of the press and other issues that we just couldn't score, and we never could get our offense going, and 7 minutes in, 21-0, which was totally ridiculous. Actually, back in the days when I was coaching 8 and under, 10 and under, that was something like that. This is, really, as you said, it's ridiculous that this could happen at a major college.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's turn the page to the Temple Owls. Now, the second NCAA tournament game was against John Chaney and the Temple Owls when Rob Evans was coaching Ole Miss. Keith Carter and all them went. There was a little bit of a rivalry between Temple and Ole Miss at that point because the next year I think they came to Oxford and Ole Miss whipped them pretty good. But after John Chaney, Temple has kind of taken a step back. Tell me about this group of Owls.
Yeah, their coach is Aaron McKee. He played back in the day for Temple. Really good player, played pro for several years. I looked at their record, 6-5, not really impressive. But they beat Villanova, which in the past years they've been really good. I'm not sure if they're really good at all. I was listening to Derek Horn. He was formerly from Ole Miss. He's up at Temple now. I think he's associate AD the other day. Someone interviewed him. And he was saying they're really starting to play well now. So that's not good for us. But they had early games. They struggled, but now they're really starting to put it together. So they'll be down here at the pavilion, really wanting to show out and realize that UCF just put us down real hard. So they'll be ready for us. But I got faith in Kermit. He's been through this before. He's wondering exactly what to do, but he's going to try some different folks, try to shake things up. He plays, like 13 guys a game, but he has not found. I don't know if it's a portal situation. People have asked the portal. They just don't jive, just don't get together. It seems like it's not meshing. That may be some of the issues. But we talked about no captains. It's really stepping up and getting their attentions and maybe yelling at them and waking them up because they were asleep the first 7 minutes. They looked like they were asleep, and they got so far behind we couldn't catch back up. But Temple, I got a good feeling we're going to play well against them. We got them at home. I think we're going to come out with a different mindset, and I got to believe Kermit's had a couple of practices, or he will have a couple of practices, and he's going to have a new group out there, hopefully with a little more toughness, because Temple's going to bring it. They saw what Memphis did. They're going to bring it, so we're going to have to be ready.
Yeah, and much like every team sport, whenever you prove you are susceptible to something, everybody is going to do it moving forward. So Ole Miss can expect physical games until they figure out how to handle those physical teams.
Yeah, our guards, as young as they are, that's where it's going to have to come from. Abram, Ruffin, of course, and Morrell. We're going to have to learn to beat this press and take it to our advantage. Beat the press and go down and score. They'll quit the press. If you score, it's over. Same thing when Kermit runs a 1-3-1 trap. If the other team gets it to the corner and you keep hitting threes, he's going to stop that trap. That's the depth of the problem with a 1-3-1 trap. If you get it to the corners, if you got a couple of 3-point shooter guys, that's the trouble. You got to get them. You got to tip the ball there to half court like Burns was doing. They did it a little bit last night. So it's definitely going to work. Every team works on it. Every time anybody plays Ole Miss, they work on the 1-3-1 trap. But some people don't have as much luck. So I think he'll keep trying that. He'll keep working on that. And I'm hoping he'll give Ewing a chance inside. He's at least a big guy that can block shots. And he's also offensive minded, and he can really score inside. So him and Mbala, really impressed with him. He's a big old stout looking fellow. I think he's getting over his injury. I think he's got his wind back. He looked like he played several minutes, and I was surprised. So I think you got a new lineup going to get started, new energy. Hopefully a couple of those guys can give them the juice and get off to a good start Saturday against Temple.
Yeah, the 5 right now that I'm looking at and what I would do, Ewan and Mbala. I would have Miles Burns out there, and I think Miles Burns needs to develop to be the alpha. He needs to be the one yelling. He needs to be the one. He's the hustle guy. His effort is never going to be questioned. He needs to be the guy that's doing that. And then you have Morrell at the 2, and then you alternate Abram and Ruffin at the 1. That's my opinion at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good lineup. I like that, and hopefully McKinnis will come in and help some. He's just not very offensive minded. He'll dunk whenever once in a while, or get a loose ball and dunk it, and he's good at that. He blocks the shots pretty well. Kuba is a good guy too, but he's not really offensive minded. He's not really good at that. So hopefully Malik Ewing, even though he's a freshman, you would hope that he will come through and do his part each and every game. I could tell he got a little winded last night, and they had to take him out a few times. But a lot of potential, great potential, and like you said, Ruffin has got to step up. He's got to show up every game. And Robert Allen, the guy that comes in, the 6th guy, he's got to get the guys going. And Miles Burns, they got to get this train running if we're going to do anything, or it's not looking good.
All right. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with the local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. It's Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Tim, thank you so much for stopping by today. Hopefully against Temple they get it turned around, but if not, we'll talk to you again next week about everything that's going on with Ole Miss basketball, man.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.